Hey Doodlers, how are you doing? Well, Cindy sent me this picture on Instagram, which is not the best messaging service in the world. However, and she said that she just doesn't feel this is quite a 2-year-old. What's going wrong? And I kind of looked at it several times, thinking, how will I approach this? And I thought I would actually just sort of move things about on here and show you what I think probably needs to be done. So the first thing, I'm going to get my lasso and I'm going to cut out this body. I'm going to copy it and I'm going to paste it in exactly the same place. And then I'm going to manipulate it and I am going to move the centre down to the bottom there so that I can then just kind of move that down, because I think the body is just a bit too long. And I think that's one thing that happens with kids as they grow, their bodies kind of get longer, and little kids kind of have short stumpy torsos basically. So let's come back to here, and now I'm going to get the head and I'm going to copy around the head layer like that, and I'm going to copy that and I'm going to paste it again, which means then I can now, so that I can move that down, and I think we could just tuck that head in a little bit, not quite so much neck, just make it more sort of little like that. And maybe even, no, I don't know, let's keep it about that same size. Now I'm going to go and use this extraordinary tool we have in Photoshop called Liquify. So that will bring this up here. So this is the head. And I think we have a kind of a problem here too. So I'm going to increase my Liquify brush. And what this means is that I can kind of pull the face down like that. And I think you've just got too much, or not enough forehead. Too much face and not enough forehead. And it's that kind of proportion that really changes things. And we could maybe actually just bring it all in a little bit there. I'm going to reduce the brush a bit, just maybe bring the nose in a bit, and like that. I think it is. It's just playing about with it. And let's see what happens when we now look here. You see, now that's, I think in fact we maybe even need to increase the size of the head. So there's so many different elements to the proportions, and so you've got quite a big head in relation to the body on a 2-year-old child, and you've got a big forehead as well. So filter, Liquify. I'm going to come back again and come down here. So this is manipulating all that. What did I want to do? I think I just want to make bring that forward a little bit like that. And also the ear is very, very low. So again, I'm going to get my lasso. I'm going to cut that out and copy it and paste it so that we can see what's happening. And just kind of move it up and back a bit there like that. I can come underneath, copy that and kind of paint underneath it. So it's just sort of moves the ear up. And then we could maybe dodge. I'm just going to lighten that ear up a little bit. The mid-tone. So we want the shadows really. So let's lighten up those shadows. There. So it's not quite so dark. And I think that's sort of starting to look more kind of 2-year-old-ish. But it's very difficult to say, because the parents watching this who have had 2-year-olds will remember the terrible twos and how interesting children can be at the age of 2. And they go through this massive change of being little horrors. They start off, begin their 2s when they're little babies really, and they're becoming little people between 2 and 3. And that's sort of happening with their bodies as well, quite a lot, and certainly with their temperament. So they go through the terrible twos where they're just sort of fighting to say, I'm here, it's me, I don't want to be a baby anymore, I want to be a person. So let's see what I can do, maybe with a bit of drawing as well. Cindy supports me on Patreon, where you can find extra background videos, finished images and helpful downloads. If you like my videos, click the link and see how you can buy me a cup of coffee on Patreon. Thank you. So let's have a look at this. I'm going to draw, this is a brain box, and then that's kind of a jaw coming down. But we've got this big long forehead, and we want the nose to be just a little kind of cute little thing there, and then something like that, and the eyes, and then the ear will be kind of about there, and you've got the jaw comes up to meet the ear, and we've got the hair around about there, scrunchy, and a ponytail. And Cindy did a really complicated sitting down pose. I'm not going to do that. And so let's just kind of do something like this. And so let's have a kind of little vest type top, and it's a little body, so that the body's almost kind of around the same size as the head, same width as the head, and this, of course, let's have a little dress. This all kind of depends on the age, and again, like I said, let's move that up a bit to about there. To get regular drawing hints, tips and inspiration, click subscribe, ring the bell and select all notifications. Still got a bit of puppy fat on there, and that's the thing that kind of starts to sort of recede between 2 and 3, really, when they start becoming little people, rather than they sort of stop being babies and become little people. So let me do something like that. Now what I'm doing here, of course, I don't have any reference material, so this is from my imagination, and I think these are, this is something. Now Cindy kind of had sort of the fringe coming down like that, and then was sort of pulling back the hair up into this scrunchy, and then doing the sort of ponytail and sort of a few straggly bits coming down there, and we can have the ear in there. So then we're going to want to have this long forward. There's a lot of forehead. In fact, I think that eye is perhaps just slightly high even still. That's about all I'm going to do. And something like that, and maybe a little teeth in there. I think the chin has now made it look too old. Something has gone wrong there. And I don't like that bit of cheek. I'm only putting that in there because Cindy put it in so beautifully. And I think if you were going to be doing a character you have to draw over and over again, or if you were going to be deciding you wanted to be a children's portrait artist, then you just have to draw them again and again, and to know your subject. And while I'm doing this, my head is full of Sir Isaac Newton and grown-up stuff and physics in the 17th century. And so my mind is not really in this subject at the moment. So, this is purely from, as I say, from imagination and from memory. So they have chubby little hands as well. And, I know I was thinking there's something about Cindy's drawing which reminds me of Shirley Hughes, the children's book author and illustrator, who just draws beautiful children and draws draws lots of young children as well. I remember a great TV program about her. Now she's getting on a bit now, so she must, I think, was it her 90th birthday, or yeah, it must be her 90th. And I used to see Shirley a lot at children's events and Christmas parties and things like that, publishers' Christmas parties. I haven't seen her for a long time. And there was a lovely program about her on the TV, and she lives in a square in London, so the back of the house kind of looks out on this shared garden. It's more like a park, really. What are we doing here? And so she was going out kind of 4 o'clock for a nice cup of tea, sitting on a bench, as all the little kids were coming home from school and their mums were coming out to the garden. They were all playing, and she would just sit there drawing the kids. But I imagine all the parents are desperate to get her to draw their children. So you have to start relying on photographic reference. And let's do something like, I'm going to leave a little bit there. And so yeah, I know when I started my illustration career, then I had 3 nieces. Well, I had 2 nieces. No, 3 nieces. Yeah, at the time, and another one on the way. So, and they were all sort of young, from babies upwards, and so I kind of spent a lot of time with them. I got to know them and drew them and that kind of thing, and they appeared in, or rather, yeah, kind of, I could say they appeared. I suppose they did talk, it wasn't really them, but yeah. So 2-year-old girls appeared quite a lot in my books when I started, because that's who I knew, and I was kind of writing stories about them and for them. And since they grew up, so I kind of wrote older children and had my own children, and you know, boys and school and things, and you know, got to visit schools, met other children, and so my characters sort of grew up as I grew up, as the children grew up, and so I haven't really drawn young children for a long time. Put a bit of shadow in there, and yeah, if you want to draw a character, oh, this is all going messy now already. If you want to draw a young child character, then you have to find one to be your model, or you have to find a photograph that you like, or you just have to draw lots and lots of them. Now there, I'm putting a little bit of blue around there so that you don't have to draw the whole eye. And then I'll get a bit of pinky red as well, and I'm going to just draw a little bit in there for the top lip. You can hardly see that really, so that you don't have to draw the top lip and draw in a great big messy black line for the lip, which makes it look so sort of difficult and crude. Yeah, so it's all about practice. So as I say, you know, at the moment I'm drawing sort of 17th century physics, and so I sort of get my head into that, and you know, start drawing that kind of stuff, and that's kind of what I'm into drawing at the moment. And if you really want to be good at drawing kids, you have to practice. And there's a strange thing, you know, your hand when you start just doesn't want to do it, your eye doesn't quite see it, but the more you draw, the more you stop and you think, why didn't that work? How do I get this right? And analyse and say, oh, that wasn't right, let me get it right, let me try again, let me try this again, and eventually you will get it. And if you dedicate yourself to drawing kids, you will become really good at drawing kids. If you're like me and you do a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and you draw a bit of this and you draw a bit of that, you'll never get brilliant at drawing children. If you want to get really good at one thing, you really have to keep drawing that one thing and kind of forget about everything else, and everything else that you might draw is just, you know, incidental in the background with the child at the foreground, and that's it's the child that you want to draw, because you're a child illustrator or you're a child portrait artist. I think she is nearer to 3, this girl. She's more on the 3 side than the 2 side. And yeah, when you're 2, you're more like a baby. When you're 3, you're more like a child. Thanks for watching. Keep drawing. Practice. I'll see you next time. You take care now. Bye bye.